They say he had hundreds of women. A palace filled with beauty, power, and silence. His name was Nasir al-Din Shah. For nearly 50 years, he ruled Persia, one of the longest reigns in its history. But this is not just the story of a king. Because behind the walls of his palace, was a world few were allowed to see. A world where lives were controlled, roles were assigned, and voices were rarely heard. And from inside that world, one voice chose to speak. This is the story of power, of control, and of a daughter who refused to stay silent. Nasir al-Din Shah Qajar came to power in 1848. Persia, at the time, was a kingdom caught between worlds. On one side, tradition, monarchy, and absolute rule. On the other, modern ideas, foreign influence, and growing unrest. He ruled from Tehran, inside the Grand Golstan Palace. A place of mirrors, gold, and ceremony. But also a place of politics, control, and surveillance. Unlike many rulers before him, the Shah was fascinated by Europe. He traveled abroad. He observed Western technology. He introduced photography into his court, becoming one of the first monarchs in the region to document his world visually. But modernization came with contradictions. Because while parts of Persia were changing, others remained deeply traditional. And nowhere was that contrast more visible than inside the royal harem. The word harem is often misunderstood. It was not simply a place of luxury. It was a system. Inside the palace lived dozens, possibly hundreds, of women. Wives. Concubines. Servants. Each existed within a strict hierarchy. Some women held influence. They could affect decisions, build alliances, even shape court politics. Others lived quieter lives, confined to routines, expectations, and limitations they did not choose. For many, the outside world was distant. Their lives were structured. Their movements restricted. Their futures often decided for them. This was not unique to Persia. Across empires, from the Ottomans to the Mughals, similar systems existed. But what makes this story different is not the system itself. It is who chose to describe it. From the inside. She was born into royalty. A daughter of the Shah. A princess of Persia. Her name was Taj al-Sultana. She grew up inside the palace walls. Surrounded by wealth. Surrounded by power. But also surrounded by control. From a young age, her life, like many others, was shaped by expectations. Marriage was not a choice. It was a decision made for her. Freedom was limited. Expression was controlled. But Taj al-Sultana did something unusual. She paid attention. She questioned what she saw. And eventually, she wrote. In her memoirs, she described a world rarely documented. Not as fantasy, but as lived experience. She wrote about emotional isolation. About rivalry among women. About the lack of agency. She criticized polygamy. She challenged the structures that defined her life. And perhaps most importantly, she gave voice to women who had none. This was not rebellion in the traditional sense. There were no armies. No battles. But her words carried something powerful. Truth. Outside the palace, Persia was changing. Foreign powers, especially Russia and Britain, were increasing their influence. Economic concessions were being granted. Public frustration was growing. Many began to see the monarchy as disconnected from the people. Corruption. Inequality. Pressure was building. And while the Shah continued to rule, the foundation beneath him was weakening. In 1896, after nearly 50 years on the throne, everything changed. Mirza Reza Kermani approached the Shah and assassinated him. The king who had ruled for decades was gone in a single moment. His death shocked the nation. But it did not come without warning. It was the result of years of tension. Years of dissatisfaction. Years of change waiting to happen. The death of Nasir al-Din Shah marked the beginning of a new chapter in Persian history. A movement toward reform. Toward constitutional change. Toward a different kind of future. But long before revolutions, long before political change, there was a voice. A woman inside a palace. Writing what others could not. History often remembers kings. Their power. Their empires. Their decisions. But sometimes, the most important truths come from those who were never meant to speak. Taj al-Sultana was one of those voices. And because she wrote, we remember.